from there. Welcome everyone to a special edition of Sweat Equity, where we're going to have a new segment called the Unfiltered Truth of Entrepreneurship. So what we're going to do is me and Patrick, one of my business partners here, is we're going to discuss just the truth and tell everyone how it really is to be an entrepreneur. We have a bunch of topics that we can choose from. And also if we want to talk about anything, we're just going to go off on a tangent, and hopefully you guys can learn a little bit about our journey and what we think about entrepreneurship.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Let's make this one easy to start. Why do people want to be an entrepreneur? I always see people like coming up to me and it's like, hey, I want to start a business. You know, is it because of the glamour? Is it because they like the hard work? Like what's your take on why everyone wants to have their own thing?
I think that people want their own thing is because they want the freedom and they see that other entrepreneurs are successful, and they think that as long as they start their business or whatever it is, they're going to have success overnight. But they actually don't see the iceberg, everything that's under the surface, the hard work that was actually put into the business. They only see the tip of the iceberg. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree, because I feel like right now there's like a culture of being your own boss, and which is awesome. I think being your own boss has a lot of pros, but then also everyone only sees the Instagram that, like, you know, you're having a good time, you're laughing. Like a good example is me being a real estate agent on doing that. Everyone sees, you know, you're closing deals, having a good time, you know, doing all these fancy things. And yes, that is a part of the business if you get there. But there's a lot of legwork, like you said, that no one sees in the grind. So if people are looking to be an entrepreneur to have like money and freedom, I would say that is a big fallacy that most people like think they want to become an entrepreneur for. I really feel like being an entrepreneur, you work 24/7, and financial freedom may come in the long run, but to really be successful as an entrepreneur, I really don't think you need money. It's not about money. It's really about the process and the grind. That's my belief, and that's how I approach my businesses.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, they've been working as an employee for someone for so long, and they're doing the 9-to-5 grind, that they just want to run away from something. You know, they just don't want to work for someone anymore. And they just feel like, hey, if I'm my own boss and I get to set my own rules, you know, then everything is all, you know, flowers and blossoms.
Okay, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here, because the thing is, being an employee could be great because you have security.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's the grass is not always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
And this is something that's why I want to talk about on our podcast here, is because it's not that I want to steer people away from being an entrepreneur. I actually want people to be entrepreneurs, but we want them coming in with the right mindset so then they can be successful, right? It's not just like, oh, I can be an entrepreneur and I make money. A perfect example is like with our gyms, right? When we first started, obviously not a lot of people have been there since the 10 years since we've had it. But for the first couple of years, we were there every day, right? Morning to night, mopping, closing up, doing all the things that need to be done, that as an entrepreneur, leaders eat last. You don't get paid. That's just work you have to do to make your business better, right? So, but then they see later on where like you may not be there anymore, hanging out, you know, have free time. That's because we built the business to that extent. But there's a lot of legwork that comes before you get there, right? And that's kind of my take on that.
Yeah. I mean, what I mean is that people, you know what, even if you are working for someone, like there's no such thing as a free meal. Like you still need to show, if you want to be successful in anything, whether you're your own boss or you're not, the work that you put in is going to, you know, the input that you put in, you're going to have the output that comes out of it, right? So if you're not successful working for someone else, there's really no proof that you're going to be successful working for yourself. Do you know what I mean?
That's a good point.
And a lot of people aren't yet successful working for someone else yet. And yet they want to quit their jobs because they hate it and they want to start their own thing. And they magically think that they're going to be successful in this other thing. Do you agree with that?
I do. I mean, here's one of the things we've always kind of said, you know, when talking to people. Would you have rather been the number 3 employee at Google, or to start another internet company that is probably gone now? You're way more successful and make way more money being that 3rd guy or 20th guy or 100th guy in Google than starting your own business and you didn't make it, or you got swallowed up by someone else.
Yeah.
Right? Actually, the person that's number 3 actually is like way better off.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I was never like that. I don't think I am a serial entrepreneur as you are, as evidenced by, you do a lot of things right now. But for me, I'm big on optimizing and maximizing and getting shit done and just achieving things and activating, like doing things right away, making decisions. I love making decisions. And whether that makes me a good entrepreneur or not, I don't know. But I'm not the serial entrepreneur. Like when we were kids, you were the one that said, let's sell t-shirts, right? You were the one that says, let's sell hockey cards. You came up with the ideas. You're the future, the ideas, right? And I'm more like, let's look at what works and let's do it better. So going back to that analogy, I would love to be number 3 at Google, number 3 at Apple.
So would I.
That's fine, But again, if I have autonomy and I can control like my job, that is being an entrepreneur.
You're absolutely right.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do understand what
you're
saying.
controlling
your environment,
what you can control.
That's right.
And that's what an entrepreneur does.
Nice. Yeah, that's
right.
Good
and
point.
If you say that is not within your control, then what are you doing then? Like, I could just hire a robot if you're not going to think for yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it goes down to do a good job in one thing and then use all those skills that you've learned and you can do it to something else.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, I see what you're saying with that. Okay, here's another one that I always think. Hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's 100% true. I don't know if you have talent, but you're not doing anything like about it, then you're not getting anything. You're not getting any results.
Yeah, I mean, I say that because the one thing I always tell people when they ask me about like, hey, I want to get into this, it's like, I always say, are you willing to work? Because your talent is natural. Like if you're good at being sales, if you're good at whatever, that's going to come with it. But are you willing to go that extra mile, take that extra phone call, knock on the extra door, reach out to the extra client, right? Because that's the only thing that you can control. Because I always feel like even a clock is right twice a day. What I mean by that is like, if you're not talented at something, but if you work really hard, you can still make it. You may not be as successful as the person that is like better than you, but if you're willing to work as hard or harder than them, I think you can still eat. But what I feel by most entrepreneurs these days is they want to be an entrepreneur, but they don't want to work. Because they see that like internet styles, like an influencer. Everyone thinks influencer is like an easy life, but that's a full-time job. They're actually creating content fully. Like no one sees that, and it's actually very stressful, right? Of course, with any job. But that's just what I feel like is being portrayed a lot right now on the like exterior world. It's like all fun and games and great times, right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with chasing your dreams. You absolutely should try to chase your dreams. But the only thing you control is how hard you work. Because if you're not good at it, I mean, cream rises to the top. In entrepreneurship, no one, it's the cream rises to the top, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't even see a distinction anymore. I see it as you just break it down into a set of behaviors and micro behaviors. Meaning, okay, if you say someone is naturally talented, what does that mean? How did they get talented? Is Kobe Bryant talented? But he's actually known for Mamba mentality. And what's Mamba mentality? He's worked the hardest and he made a brand of outworking everyone, right? So he got his talents through the hard work. So when you see these social media influencers, they learned how to do it. If you can't say that you're naturally good at sales, you know what I mean? You learn how to do it. You put the work in to learn how to do it. And then you become talented.
Well, there you go.
So it's inextricably tied together.
That's even better news then.
Yeah.
That means if you work hard, you can be talented at something.
And it only comes down to hard work. There's nothing else.
You don't think there's an X factor?
I think everything can be taught and learned. And to me, it goes back. I don't even want to have that conversation because I only care about what you can control, right? So if you're not naturally charismatic, it doesn't matter. You can still work on being one day the most charismatic person in the room. I'm a big believer in change and growth and putting work into it, and you can see change.
Okay. Is there something else topic that you...
No, like, for example, we want to talk about the same topic. It's like, one of the things that I'm working on is communication, right? I'm not the best communicator, right? But I watch a lot of Vin Jiang, Ask Vin, and I think he's great, right? But same thing, his backstory is that's what he didn't have, and that's what he needed to learn, right? And, I'm giving business advice, but I had to learn how to do everything myself.
That is true.
As a fitness coach, was I born Arnold? No. You got to learn how to do everything yourself. Then you can pass your knowledge on to those who want to learn. Right?
Yeah. No, I see that.
So it's all about the work that you put in, but you got to learn how to do it.
Okay, well, that's good. That means there's hope for people that want to do it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, here's another one. I feel like people want to be an entrepreneur or like own a business so they can have passive income. Now, what's your take on that? And break it down.
I mean, it doesn't stop there. You know what I mean? Okay, so yes, you can start something, and the old adage, you don't want to work for your business. You want your business to work for you, right? And there's a million steps to get there. You got to create systems. You got to be able to teach those systems. You got to be able to make sure your team executes and all that, right? And then you eventually get there, and maybe you have passive income. But if you stop, the buck stops with you if you're the leader. Everything else is going to die if you don't.
Yeah. So what I also mean is like, I see a lot of people wanting to like do that. Like, hey, I want to buy a business or, that makes money, right? And exactly, these systems have been built by the owner of previous or the future owners. But the thing is, you have to think, why would anyone sell you a business that's making money? If they're making money, why don't you keep the money yourself, right? So you either have to buy it at a premium, right? Or you're buying a distressed business that you think you can turn around to take advantage to build your empire, right? So a good example was our business, right? We bought the gym. It wasn't doing well, but we saw opportunity and trusted our talents. And we made it work for us. And obviously we built it up, 4 times, 5 times what it made from before, because we did the things you talked about, right? Putting in that work, building systems, right? But once again, we bought a business in distress because we saw there was opportunity. But what was the main ingredient? We had to work. And once you build it up, yes, it could be passive. But if we were to sell it now, you're obviously going to sell it at a premium because the business is making money. See what I mean? So that's what I always tell people. Like, they want a deal, but they're never going to get a deal. The only deal is a distressed business.
Yeah.
But you need to build it up because no one's going to do it for you. Yeah, I'm just talking about like people trying to get into business.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole different conversation than passive income, right? That's just...
Well, they want passive income though. They want to buy a business, but they're missing all those steps before. I see what I meet the most people is like, they just see like, hey, I want to have another side hustle or a big, like a thing going where I can make money, but I don't really have to work. But I always tell them, doesn't matter what scale you are, you always have to work. Example, you buy a business, a pizza shop, you're working it because you can't pay your employees because you have no money. Then you build it to the next one, you're a manager, but then you have employees, but now you're just managing different stuff, right? The higher up you move, there's always going to be things you have to work for, but it's just a different scale. People, it's hard to, even if you own a big business, it's hard just to step back and the money just rolls in by itself. Because I feel like any business, an entrepreneur, like a small business, is like a balloon. You pump it up to get it going. And then if you let your foot off, it slowly starts to shrink. Unless you have pieces in place to either hold it or expand it.
Can I zag on that?
Yes, of course.
So if you're buying let's say I'm looking at a pizza business, right? And I'm buying a pizza business. I don't know anything about the pizza business, right? So when I go in there, I'm not going to expect it to just be a machine, right? I actually want to learn everything about the business.
And see, this is the mentality. But from my experience of people trying to get in, they don't want to really learn the business.
But I'll tell you what the risk is for not learning every single part of the business is that now the business is just the people that's in the business. Okay, what if the people in the business all leave? Then you don't really have a business anymore because your business is tied to the people already in the business because you can't step in and do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. You need to know the business.
You need to know the business at every single level, right?
No, I 100% agree with you. I just think that most people come into it with that, trying to do it without, like, they just want to have something.
Right.
They rather pay for something and it runs itself.
Right.
But that's what we're trying to say is that's not the reality.
That's not the reality.
That's not the reality.
I mean, if you're going to buy a business like that, I would highly suggest that you put in the work
Yes.
as what we agree on in the beginning,
Yeah.
like a lot of
Yes.
work to understand every single
Yeah.
nuance
I
of the
know.
business, so
Because
that it can't, then it's not a risk anymore. You're not just buying a risk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The business can't screw you over.
yeah, people skim off the top, quality control goes down, right?
Mhm.
But that's just what I see from my like opinion from talking to people.
Yeah.
Okay. What's another topic of unfiltered truth that we want to let people know?
Well, you can pick from.
Okay, let's go to our list of topics here we have. Let's try one here. Not everyone is meant to be a leader. What do you think on that?
I think that the thing that people try to avoid the most is having hard conversations.
Yes.
Okay. But the thing that can be holding your business back the most is avoiding that hard conversation. So for example, you have one person. Let's say you have, I don't know, your lead salesperson, okay, on your team. If your lead salesperson has low sales rates, low close rates, low conversion rates, and you're not willing to say, hey, you suck, then that is what's holding your business back, right? So I find that a good leader is someone who's just able to have those hard conversations. And, you know, if
That's hard in this day and age. I feel like, I mean, because the thing is, most people avoid conflict. That's just a natural like thing. People don't want conflict. So to be in that position, it's hard for them.
Sure.
Because they need to tell someone that they don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Sure.
But you're right. Like as a business owner, your only responsibility is to like make your business better.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I give you a reframe?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're working for me, okay, and I know that you're costing me money, okay, if I just let it go, then you're gonna just cost the business money, and it's gonna be a lose-lose. It's a lose for me. It's a lose
Your
for
liability.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. However, if I go, hey Richard, I think that you're not doing quite well in this position. I think you might have better opportunity elsewhere. I'm gonna be doing you a disservice if I don't let you go, because you might be the MVP of another business that you don't know, you're not aware of, because you're not given that opportunity. If I don't say that, then you're just being a D- player here versus an A+ player elsewhere. So I'm just releasing you into free agency so that you can be the star player from another team.
Oh, well, only if they think like that.
Well, that's how I.
Yeah, I know. Because like most people, like, you're letting go of my job, and like, oh man.
But that's fine. You
Yeah.
control your own
Yes,
thoughts.
it's true.
Right? And whatever
But-
you get in your life is gonna.
But back to being a leader, it's like, yes, most people avoid conflict, but to be an entrepreneur, everything falls on you. So if you don't lead and make difficult decisions, your business is going to go down the drain, basically.
If you are the leader, only the difficult decisions end up on your plate.
Because you're the leader.
Because the easy decisions are already being dealt with.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, the phone is ringing. What should I do? Pick up the phone. That is an easy decision to make. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if it moves past every step, and then it's like, well, what does your manager say? I don't know. What does her manager say? I don't know. What does his manager say? I don't know. Then it falls down to the leader. And that's why after all the filters and all the screens, if you're atop of an organization, you only get the hard problems.
That's what you get the money for.
Exactly.
So not everyone's meant to be a leader, though. That's really basic.
No, of course.
Okay. Let's go to our next topic here. Hard work isn't enough if you don't work smart.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of went over that.
Yeah.
That was what you brought up about talent and hard work. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are people that are hardworking and yet they're not seeing any change or any growth. And they're putting in their 40 hours a week, their 60 hours a week. And it could be that they're just working on the wrong stuff, right? So, they need someone to come in and tell them, like, your time is very valuable, right? So you should spend your time doing the most high leverage stuff, right?
Yeah.
Do you agree? A lot of people have like a lot of things on their to-do list.
Yeah.
And they're just chipping away at it, but they're not ordering their to-do list in terms of what's the most important to the lead.
Prioritizing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it depends on your business and what your thing is, what's more priority. Because sometimes you have pressing things you got to do right away, but then there's bigger picture stuff that you need to eventually tackle. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that's tough because like when you own your own business, there's like 9 million inputs.
Yeah.
Right. And prioritizing the ones that can help you even get better are sometimes thrown in the back burner from my experience because you have to deal with the immediate stuff right in front of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's part of being an entrepreneur though, right? Sift through all the crap to like get to growing your business.
Yeah. I have a formula for that. Value over effort, like time and effort, right? So if you know this one thing is going to give you a lot of return and it doesn't take a long time to do it, that's what you should probably do first. And then you just use that formula. Or likewise, if you're doing something that's only going to, give you a little bit of return, but it's taking you a long time to do it, then you probably won't want to do it.
Nice.
So you just order it that way. Right?
Value over
effort. And in effort is time.
Nice. Okay. I like that. Okay, let's move on to our next one then. Going through these. If you don't have systems, you don't have a business.
Yeah. So again, do you want to just work in your business? Like, are you just buying a business where you are working? It's like buying a treadmill.
Yeah.
The treadmill stops running if you aren't running on it.
It's the same.
Right?
Do you own the business or does the business own you?
Exactly.
Right? That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then how do you start?
But most people don't see through that. Most people see that most people own, like they're operators. The business owns them. Because if they leave, the business falls apart. That's not having systems in place.
Yeah. I mean, this is a very Asian way of thinking because my parents tell me this all the time. And they're always like, why would you pay someone else a wage? Because that's a cost. You want to minimize costs, right? And so, I see this in my uncle's business where he hasn't had a vacation in 13 years and he doesn't really have a business because it's all him. This is called key man risk, meaning if the business all falls on one person, then you don't really have a sellable business.
No, because you are the business.
Yeah, you're not. You are the business. You can't really sell the business because it's tied to you.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want a sellable business, if you want to scale a business that you can sell, it doesn't need to involve you. In fact, it's better if you aren't involved. Then there's actually value to the business.
Yes. On a note on that here's a good note for me. I'm actually not a very organized person, but in order for me to get things done, I actually like to try to build systems because I'm actually not organized. So that actually helps me because it's like I take the time to try to build those pathways or the protocols to do it. So then it actually takes it off my plate because I can't have all those inputs together without some systems because I'm just not an organized person by nature.
Well, that's good because that's self-awareness and you know what you need. Like you know that you need a system to organize your life and therefore you see the importance of it and then therefore you make the system. Yeah.
And another thing of note and like, for the viewers is that when you start a business, usually your time is free. But when you get bigger, your business grows, your time actually costs money because your time doing something menial takes away from you doing something that's more makes you more money in the future for your business. Good point with your uncle's business. I don't know what business it is, but same, like for me, it's like, I don't want to pay people either if I can do it. But you have to realize it comes to a point where if you actually pay people, you actually make more money, right?
Can I break it down into a real world example?
Yes.
Okay. So let's say you're doing the task, which is your business. Let's say you're answering phone calls or let's say you're teaching someone how to cook. Let's say that's your business, okay? And let's say, hey, I don't have any time to grow this business because I have to provide this service. And now all my time is tied into, and by the end of the day, I don't have time to grow the business, right? Okay. So let's say that you teach someone how to cook, but let's say you can replace yourself teaching someone how to cook. Like if I got you to pay someone how to cook for $10 an hour, I'm just saying, right? And let's say in a day, I'm working 5 hours, but I got you to do it for $10 an hour. So now I'm paying you $50. Okay, this is my replacement time. I can make 100 phone calls, okay?
Yeah.
And it all comes down to ROI again, okay? If I make 100 phone calls and only one person buys, but if the value of that one person that's buying is that this one person is going to give you $1,000 over their lifetime. Well, then I actually made $1,000 and I paid you $50. Okay, let's not say 1,000. Let's say $100. $100.
$50, you double.
They pay you 50. So now my 5 hours is worth 100.
Yes.
And versus before, my 5 hours was worth 50.
Exactly. And that's my point by your time is worth more money now in the future. When you first start, you have to build your business. You have to be there. That is your business. But once you get it to a point where you maximize that output, you need to think of it ways to get more output out of right?
You are replacing jobs that are cheaper that you're currently doing for
Higher
something that's going to give you a higher return.
Yes.
So a cleaner, like a cleaning job is relatively cheap. You can find a cleaner to be. So if you're doing cleaning yourself, that's probably the first thing that you should outsource if you feel like you're more valuable doing the more valuable thing.
Correct.
Now, some people might not have that skill to make the $100 in the 5 hours because they don't have sales skills or they don't have marketing skills or whatever high leverage skill you're trying to do. Right. And so, but that's why it's important if you want to grow is to continue adding to your skill set so that you're just replacing one skill with another skill. Exactly.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. That's the truth with the systems and stuff. It's basically buying you time to do more valuable things for your business. And it really kind of never stops because each level you go up, you'll just get to learn a new skill that brings you even more value or ROI than the first task that you started. Yeah, so systems are important. That's actually one of the biggest things. Like I said, I'm not organized, but I actually like systems because it makes my life a lot easier, actually.
And this doesn't apply just to business ownership.
No.
Even if you are working for someone, the same thing applies. If you can show